Welcome to this tutorial on using auto sequence to sequence traditional lights, not RGB lights. This is a continuation of the tutorial on how to make a preview with traditional lights in S5. So to start, I'm going to open up the S5 sequencer. And this time we're going to use the preview that we made last time, which I called House Display 2018, to create a new musical sequence. So we can do that by either clicking here or going up to File, New Musical Sequence. I'll just click there. And first we're going to select the audio file that we're going to use, which you can see it defaults to opening to Light-O-Rama /audio. For this tutorial I'm going to use Meteor Shower. You just click open, and here we have another dialog box with a bunch of stuff that's already filled in for us. All we care about to change is the existing preview, or change the preview to be an existing preview, which I'm going to use what I made last time called House Display 2018. So now we click create, and now we have everything that we made in the last tutorial with the picture of the house and all of our props and groups here on the left. And if you want, this stuff is in first floor, which you can see if you click in here. It's listed here. But if you want to change the order of how things are displayed over here, you can just by clicking and dragging. Which doesn't affect how anything works. It just looks, I like the way that looks. We can only use the SuperStar sequencer on a motion effect row. So the rows that are motion effect rows have a black background here as opposed to the gray background, and they have the little plus next to them, which I added the motion effect row in the last tutorial. If you need to add a motion effect row here, you just right click on a prop or group and select add/modify motion effect rows, and then you just click add row and then OK. And now we see bush 1 has the little plus next to it, and it's now black in the background. But we don't need bush 1 to have a motion effect row, so to remove it, you just click on the plus. You might have to click on this one as well. And then when you right click, you can just say delete motion effect row. And now it's back to the way it was before. So let's go ahead and add a SuperStar effect. We want to add it to our entire display so we can have all the lights available to us. So I want to select this whole row. So to select the whole row, I'm just going to right click and do select row, and now it's all selected. So now I'll right click again and say insert SuperStar effect. But of course it needs to be saved first. I'm just going to say file, save as, Meteor Shower. And now I can right click and say insert SuperStar effect. And now this opens the SuperStar sequencer just on top of our S5 sequencer. And I'm just going to make this fit here. So here we can see the preview that we made in the sequencer. We've got the roof and the first and second floor lights, and we can select these lights by, we can see the groups here with their squares. So this top row corresponds to all the roof lights, and the middle row corresponds to the second floor, and then this is all the first floor lights. So to create our auto sequence, I'm going to click on the scene mode, and now we have our scene dialog box. And to add the auto sequence, we're going to click on the automobile, and now we have the auto sequence dialog box. And I want to start with this bush over here, so I'm just going to click on this leftmost box here, and now that's highlighted. And I want to change the angle. So we can see there's a little arrow here that's pointing left, and that's angle is 0. So I want to change it to point to the right. So I'm going to change this angle to be 180. And now it's pointing to the right. So now it's going to move to the right from this bush on through the rest of the lights. So to add it, I'm just going to do the first 8 seconds. So I'm going to click over here at the beginning and then scroll on over to 8 seconds and then right click. So it's selecting selected from the beginning to 8 seconds, and then I'll just click add. And now we've got our scene that's been auto-generated with our car. So let's take a look at how that looks. Move that out of the way, and then I'm just going to click on play 8 seconds. Okay, so we can see it's sequenced to those beginning notes. We can see it's moving kind of fast. So the default mode is wraparound, default movement. It's a little bit hard to see because it's moving so fast. So this is likely a problem you'll have with your traditional lights. It works a little better with the RGB lights, but you can fix that by just changing the speed. So I'm going to change the speed from 1 down to 0.5, and then I'll bring the scene back here and say modify. And now let's see how that looks. So play 8 seconds again. There we go. So now we can more clearly see that once it gets to the end, it's moving back to the beginning of the row. And now it's moving a little slower so we can see it easier. So if we want to change the movements, there's other options available, such as ricochet. Click modify. Let's take a look at that. So now it bounces back and forth. Now if I want to use the rest of my lights, and not just the first row, then we can use this movement snake up. We obviously don't want to snake down since we're already on the first floor. So if we do snake up, and I'll go and click modify, once it gets to the end of the row, it's going to move up to the next row and keep moving up and down, you know, just like a snake. So let's take a look at how that looks. Play 8 seconds. Okay, let's see how it's moving back and forth throughout our entire display. And I like that effect, though I want to keep that contained to just the first and second floor. So to do that, we're going to use a manual clip, which when I click on that, we can see this yellow rectangle here showing that its movement is contained to the entire display. I want it to just be first and second floor. So to change it, as it says here, it says Shift plus the left mouse button. So I'm going to hold down Shift and then just select the first and second row. So now it's just there. So I say modify. And now let's take a look at that. So I press play 8 seconds. And now we can see it's snaking up and down, but keeping it contained in just the first and second floor. Very nice. So I don't want to have the roof left out. I want the roof to be that top melody. So I'm going to go ahead and add another scene. So I'll say add, and this time it doesn't need the manual clip, so I'll say no clip, and I'm going to change it to be start in the roof. Okay, and since the roof is it's in a circle essentially, I want the movement to be wraparound, and then we'll say modify. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so they're moving together. That looks pretty cool. But what I want is just the roof to be that top melody, which we're only hearing the beginning of, bum bum, but it changes later. So we can do that by using these frequencies. So we're telling it what to listen for. So right now both scenes are listening for all frequencies. It's all black. I want the first and second floor, so that's that first scene, to be just everything but the high part. So I'm just going to take out the high part, say modify, and then I'm going to take the roof and I'm going to make it do the opposite and only listen to the high frequencies so that it's only getting those the top melody there. So I'll say modify. So now let's see what that does. now it's only listening to the top part. Very nice. Now, of course, we don't only want the first 8 seconds, we want much more than that so we can keep hearing the melody. So if we want to make the auto sequence longer, then we can just move on over. Well, I'm first going to select both sequences, or not sequences, scenes. So right now this bottom scene is selected, so I'm just going to hold down Control and click on the other one, and now they're both selected. And I'm going to move on down to about 30 seconds, and then just right click, and now it's selected on the time ruler up to 30 seconds. And then I'm just going to click Set Group Time Range, and now both scenes are extended up to 30 seconds. So let's bring the time back to the beginning, and let's just say, instead of play 8 seconds, let's do play all and see how that looks. Back into the S5 sequencer. So all we gotta do is, it's all saved here. I'm just gonna close the SuperStar sequencer, and then it passes all that information back here, and it says, do you want to save those changes? Yes, of course we do. So now it's all in here. Notice this is white, showing it has something there now. So let's go ahead and press play and see how it looks here. Now we can see the lights on our house with everything we just did. It's awesome. So it's a little bit hard to see. You can do two things to help it so you can see it a little easier. So we can go to previews and select our preview, which is House Display 2018, and press the little pencil to edit. Okay, so I'll just select entire display and just change the size to like 4 and just say save, and now we play it, and now they're all much bigger, which makes it easier to see. We can also change it so it looks like it's night, since people will likely not be watching your lights in the daytime. So we'll just go to the background tab and change the brightness level down to about here. So now it looks like it's nighttime. So save. So now we play it. Now we can see it very clearly. Very nice. So that is how we've put in the auto sequence into our preview, using our preview. One last feature to show you. In the previous tutorial, remember that we could double click to edit things. That is also true here. We've got some effects here. To edit it, I can just double click it, and that will open up the SuperStar sequencer again, so we can make whatever changes we want. Or we can just close it, and then it will tell us it didn't get any data. So that can be a quick way to edit. And that's all I have. I just want to mention that in order to create a motion effect row, you need the Pro license for the S5 sequencer, and to use SuperStar, you need a SuperStar license. This is just using 16 channels, and if you have 300 channels or less, then all you need is the 2 CCR SuperStar license, which is just $29.95. If you have the Pro license but do not have the SuperStar license, you can still insert the SuperStar effect and use SuperStar, but when you shut down SuperStar, everything you did still gets passed here, but when you press play, it won't play what you sequenced, and it'll also not play on your actual lights. And that's all that I have. I thank you for listening and hope that you have a super day.